God, what did I say the first
It
time?
was so good. Happy New Year.
Yeah, I'll do it. Do you think we could roll the same way?
Oh, we can do it.
All right. Happy New Year. All right. Hey, did you make any New Year's resolutions?
I do not make New Year's resolutions because I don't want to be disappointed to start out a new year.
Yeah, they're meant to be broken.
Well, I think you're not supposed to break them, but I think everybody does. So what I do is I just go by like broad suggestions.
There you go.
Like I'm not going to drink anymore.
Do you
I'm not going to
recognize?
drink any less.
Do you recognize this man, by the way? Formerly from Channel 7 here in Detroit.
Hey.
And 104.3 WOMC here in Detroit.
That is correct.
But now hailing from Fort Myers Beach, Florida, Stephen Clark.
Thank you so much, Frank, for having me. We haven't seen each other in a long time because there's been like a worldwide pandemic.
What?
A couple industry. I know. It's hard to believe, right? But it's on the news and everything. And a couple career changes and a retirement and a semi-retirement.
A semi-retirement, yep.
Yeah. I've retired twice already in the last couple of years. I think I'm done. Retiring.
Yeah, right? Well, I mean, if you're in Fort Myers Beach, Florida, and you're living it up, I've seen your pictures. You're like fishing in the Gulf of Mexico. But I'm going to hit you with the biggest question, I guess, right off rip is why the hell are you back in Detroit?
That's a good question. Well, we'll talk about it here during the show, but I got a little gig. I do, and I love this. It's my favorite gig, and when they called to see if I'd do it again, I said, yeah, I will do it because I've done it for, 7 or 8 years. The Howell Opera House in Howell, Michigan. A beautiful building. They're trying to restore the building, and it takes some time. It's a lot of money, and they got some grants and stuff, but they also make some money off of what they call their acoustic cafe series. And they bring in from January through, summertime, they bring in local artists who do a show on a Friday night, and then they have people come in and pay a little money and listen to a great show of local artists doing their own thing. And I got lucky to be chosen to open this series 7 or 8 years ago. And so I've done it every year since then. I've been the opening week of that series. And I love the show because we'll get 150 to 200 people in there, and it is an absolute pure listening audience. So I'll do all my own songs, and I'll tell the stories behind the songs. You could not get a more polite or interested audience on earth. I mean, it's like being at the Bluebird in Nashville, which is like the highest compliment of a listening room you can find. So the Howell Opera House, Friday night, January 7th, I think I go on at 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock to 10. Doors open at 7:30.
That's awesome.
So that's why I'm in town for that. Plus, my daughter and granddaughter live here, and so it's a bonus.
Yeah, you still have family here, and you also have like a little place over there in Nashville.
I do.
Is that still available for me if I ever?
Sure.
Okay.
Anytime you want to come by, just it's the price of admission is one really good bottle of bourbon.
All right. Well, I have bourbon.
It's got to be a good
I was going to drink bourbon, but we decided the show is probably a little more important before we get into those things. But I always described you as like the real life Ron Burgundy because every time I've seen you've been on this show like 6 times, and every
Stay
time
classy.
There you go.
Plus I worked in San Diego for 9 years, and the station where I worked was really the template for the station in Anchorman.
Do you think there was a guy?
Matter of fact, the guy who was the template for Ron Burgundy was a guy named Harold Green, who was the anchor 2 anchors before I was the anchor.
Oh, that's interesting.
So that was the San Diego connection.
Yeah,
So yes, I am like twice removed. I am Anchorman.
Because every time you've been on the show, you've had a chock full of drinking songs.
I do have a lot of drinking
And
songs. I've got a drinking song problem.
Yeah, right. But it blew me away because you were on the news, and I had watched you, know. But like I remember, I was new. I was fairly new at the radio station. They were like suggested to bring you in, so I called you. You agreed. You came wearing like your get up to do the news.
I came between newscasts.
Yeah, with your guitar, and you played drinking songs, and then you went and you did the 11 o'clock news.
Well, after you listen to the 11 o'clock news, do you understand why I drank?
Fair enough.
Yeah, see?
And why you're retired, right? But that's not the case today, though. Today you're coming with 2. They're all originals, but only one of them's a drinking song. So this is going to be interesting.
Song. I'll end on a drinking song.
Because you've been every stage of Homegrown. You've been a part of. You're one of the first. One of the first when it was in the studio.
Yep.
Then at least 2 or 3 times when we were at Music Town.
Right.
And then now we're in the new studio.
Now here.
And this is like the most.
This is a gorgeous studio too, and I love the view of the park and everything. It's great. It's beautiful.
You mean never mind. That's not the litter box. Never.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was a sandy beach.
All right. No, that's where you live. That's snow where we live. You're supposed to bring the nice weather with you, but
well, it's in my luggage. I haven't unpacked yet.
So this first song, we're getting right into it. This first song is called Red Naked.
Red Naked.
Not naked, naked.
Yeah, do you want me to tell you how it came about or do the song and then tell you?
Do the song first.
Okay. I may need your help, too.
Oh, no. Don't do that. We want to keep the listeners and the viewers.
Dust clouds grown and it's coming up the drive. Heading for the pool up past the double wide. Dial on the dash reads 95 degrees. Bunch of good people just trying to beat the heat. Stripping off the clothes just as fast as they can, and like the good Lord made them, they're jumping on in, getting red naked. Red, 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 red. Naked. No SPF and no tan lines. Everybody's burning where the sun don't shine. Getting red, 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 red naked. That's where you can help. Red, 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 red naked. You got your Carhartt coveralls and camo Crocs. If you're going in, it's all coming off. Lose the Daisy Dukes and cowboy boots. Don't need nothing but your birthday suit. Bobbing for Coors Light down at the deep end, playing Marco Polo. Everybody's peeking, getting red naked. Red, 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 red. Naked. No SPF and no tan lines, and everybody's burning where the sun don't shine, getting red, 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 red naked. That's the part you can help.
Okay.
Red, 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 red naked. Yeah. Woo-hoo. Guitar solo. All right. Got Kid Rock blasting on the speakers, and Bubba's doing belly flops, nothing but a sneakers, getting red naked. Everybody's getting red naked. No SPF and no tan lines, and everybody's burning where the sun don't shine, getting red, 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 red naked. Everybody's getting red, 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 red naked. Yeah, there you go. You got that dust clouds growing and it's coming up the drive. Heading for the pool out past the double wide. Everybody's getting red, 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 red naked. Everybody's getting red, 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 red naked.
I didn't screw up your song, see?
You did not. No, see, that is a sing-along song that you can get to.
Because you asked me to sing along with you, and
It
I was
is.
going to, and then you cut to the next verse, and I'm like, I'm glad I didn't sing it. I almost started doing the red naked while you were singing.
You could have, actually, because
would've-
it is designed that if you just kept right on going, it'd still sound fun.
I also almost misunderstood you. Like, Frank, you help me out with this, too. I'm like, uh-oh. But dare I ask
Yeah.
how that song came about?
I wrote that with a friend of mine named Kenneth Wright, and Kenneth is a longtime professional Nashville songwriter. He's written a couple songs. Tim McGraw's done some, and Kenny Rogers, and he's godfather to Tucker Bethard, best friends with Casey Bethard, a monster songwriter in Nashville. So I was sitting at his place in Nashville one day, and we're trying to figure out what we're going to write about. And we're working on something else, and he's got a view of the pool. And for Kenneth to have a view of a swimming pool full of people with little clothes on is not a good thing. He's a good old boy from South Carolina. He's looking down there going, wow, would you look at her? I said, who? He says, that one right there in the camel. I said, yeah. He says, yeah, she's. I swear he said she is red naked. I swear. He says, no, he just said red neck. But somehow that misunderstanding led to the song Red Naked.
I mean, it could work both ways.
Yeah,
though.
well, that's what it
a
turned out.
redneck who's halfway naked.
Yeah, she said, there's a redneck, as he said. And I thought he said red naked. And so they said, well, that's the song. He goes, what, redneck? That's been done. I said, red naked.
So you guys did have clothing, I guess.
We did. We were dressed. Trust me.
Me and this guy were writing a song called Red Naked, and
I got to tell you, though,
over there in Nashville.
it's an icebreaker when I start a show off getting naked. I tell you, that's.
Well, that's how I almost misunderstood you when you're saying you need. I'm like, I don't know what you need me to do here.
There you go. Yeah.
But
Get naked.
so you got the show coming up, but how did you survive the last year and a half, man?
COVID was, it was a tough time, I think, for everybody. In all seriousness, we all had to figure out a whole new way to do things. We had to figure out a whole new world, how to get along. And I was, when it first started, literally my last day on WOMC was the day this thing kind of officially started.
Oh, wow.
And the reason I left WOMC, and I had a contract to go on that, but they came to me and said, listen, this thing's coming. It's going to be a long time, so we're thinking we got to figure out ways at the radio station to cut money. You know how it goes,
right?
And I'd never really done this as a career choice as much as I was just going to be on the radio. It's kind of like, well, okay, they want me to come in here and do a show and kind of help WOMC kind of get back on its feet and make some dents in the ratings. And so Joanne Purton and I did that. I think we got us back on the map. And when they came to me, they said, listen, we got JJ and we got you and we got, and I said, hey, listen, here, I gave them the idea. I said, why don't you put JJ on the morning show? And I'll be happy to step aside. This for me was just kind of like a little part-time gig.
Sure, but you were itching a little bit. I remember you'd come visit me in the studio, and you talked with so fondly, or you missed it a little bit.
Oh yeah, no, I love radio. I love doing it. It's for me, it was 100 times better than television.
Could you imagine doing being an anchor during this time?
I'm so glad I'm not. I mean,
it's almost like you knew it was coming.
Yeah, I'll tell you something. And it was coming, and because the country was in a bad way. I think I don't want to get too political here, but the country was in a bad way before I left television. We're just getting mean. We were getting just once. I didn't like it, and that's one of the reasons I left television. I said, listen, I made my career being what I considered to be kind of like the calm voice of reason in a crisis, and that was the way I thought of myself. Regardless of what happens, I'm going to be the calm voice of reason. And it got to the point where people didn't want calm voices of reason anymore.
Yeah,
they want somebody screaming what they believe.
Yeah.
At them. They want people telling you.
Everybody's pissed, man. Everyone's mad.
I don't understand what that was about. So that was when I knew it was time for me to move on from television.
You had said something to me. Yeah. It was right after right before you started at OMC. You said to me, you're like, yeah, I'm excited to get out. I don't like the way it's going.
And it got worse.
Yeah, and then when all this stuff started, I thought about you saying that. And I was like, huh.
It got worse, and I'm glad I'm not there. And to tell you the truth, and people don't believe this, I've been off television a little over 3 years. To this date, I have not watched a television newscast.
Really?
Local, national, cable.
Because you've seen it from the back end. You know how it.
I know how the sausage is made.
Goes.
Right.
And
I don't want to see that because I'll even see because now I get my news. I think I'm well read, but I go in and I research. I find a story and I say, okay, is this true or is this not true? And I go in and I research it as if I'm doing the story. And I'm finding, I believe, something close to the truth. When I just do it myself, but I'm not going to find that by watching any one television news source.
Well, that's the way you should do it.
Well, you should, but people don't.
No, people don't. But
people want to hook up with their TV stations to tell them exactly what they believe.
But it's not just the TV stations, because who knows what you're reading, too, like where it's coming from,
internet,
and it's everywhere.
Facebook,
and
Twitter, it doesn't matter.
It's like you're attracted to what you personally think.
So I write about people drinking and getting redneck.
Yeah, right now, and I like it. And that's why. So we were talking about, though, you've done music videos. Yeah, when's the last time you shot a music video?
I actually shot one in Alabama in November. I was about to say down in Alabama, but when I went to Alabama, I was up in Alabama because I was down from South Florida. There's a Frank Brown Songwriters Festival at the Floribama, which is a great songwriting festival. It goes on for like 10 days. It was really the only songwriting festival that happened at all during COVID, so I went the year before to a shortened one, which was pretty low-key, but it was still great. And then this last year was back up to full speed. And some of the best songwriters in the country go down there. Jim Moose Brown, who wrote It's 5 O'Clock Somewhere, is a big hit there. And a bunch of other people that write all these great songs. So I was there doing this, and I was hanging out with this friend of mine, Mark Allen Barnett, who's an Alabaman. And he wrote a song a couple years ago called Bamatized. It's kind of a love letter to Alabama. And he said, hey, while we're down here, you want to shoot a music video? Because I've shot music videos in the past. And I said, well, I didn't bring any gear. And he goes, well, you have an iPhone, don't you? And I said, well, yeah, but I can't shoot a...
Oh, yes, you can.
And I did, and I put this thing up online, and it actually turned out really well. I couldn't believe how good
they
it
look
looked.
really good. Like, it's almost like I thought about it for the show, but it'd be hard to, like, while you're performing, to hold a camera. Like, it'd be hard to do a show like this with the camera, but like that quality, it's like no different than these.
It is so good. If you have good lighting, if an iPhone has
Yeah.
decent lighting,
Yeah.
Low light is not the best thing in the world, but
It still looks
decent lighting.
good.
Looks
And
good.
it's come a long way in the
I
last
know.
few years.
It's amazing. It's amazing. So I make throw out all my other gear, all my camera gear.
I mean,
I've
think how
done
much money you
big.
save.
I've been doing big productions on artists like Julianne Ankley from Port Huron, David Shelby, who travels around the Midwest and performs and stuff. I've done videos for him and a few other people.
Those are good people, by the way.
Yeah. Well,
I like that you shout them out as well because they're good people. I know them.
Yep.
And I've always remembered them fondly from when I would do the show with them too.
So,
Julianne's been on the show a few times.
And if you've seen their music videos, those are probably the ones I did. At least I hope.
Oh,
so.
that's cool.
Yeah.
Rock on. So I mean,
I've done those. I'll plan to do some more. I think I'm doing some in Nashville this spring. So
okay.
So I'll probably do them on my phone.
Are you gonna do it all by yourself? Is I guess the question, because you save a lot of money that way. Like,
I have a great local guy here in Detroit who's a photographer at Channel 7, Anjay Milosh, and the guy is absolutely brilliant. And he's got all the gear and all this great gear and the lighting and stuff like that. And I almost feel guilty shooting it without him. But it was just like, for me, just suddenly having this absolute total freedom to shoot what.
Don't have to coordinate nothing.
Yeah, and he's a far better photographer than I'll ever be, and a better eye than I have and everything. But for me, just to sit there and do it and say, okay, I suddenly learned how bad I was, which is the first thing I learned, and then you learn to get better. So.
Well, you learn as you go, right?
Exactly.
You got to hit the ground running.
Yep. So, I'll do some more music videos.
That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's really cool. So next up, we got the drinking song.
Nope, I'm not going to do that.
No, you're right. 2 and 1.
I got
but
two.
this one's called No Regrets.
This is No Regrets.
Which is usually what you say when you're drinking.
Yeah, could come after. Yeah, this may have involved drinking at some point, just not in my song.
Sorry, I read it. I was like, that's a drinking song. No, it's not.
No, this is, if you have, it's the tattoo, and I think you see where it's going with that.
Right.
If you have a tattoo, put on your arm, it's like I got one here that says, I will walk for you, which I did for my granddaughter, who's in a wheelchair. And then I wrote a song called I Will Walk for You. So I'm very serious about this saying, so I wrote it on my arm. I will walk for you. So if you put a tattoo on your body, you hope it's something you're fairly serious about, something you believe in. So if you put the tattoo No Regrets on your body, then obviously your philosophy is that no matter what happens, I got no regrets, right? That's what it's about?
Right.
So what happens is somebody misspells it. And it's my phone dinging over here.
It is your phone. That's okay.
Turn it off.
It's live. It's all right.
Turn me to, and I...
So it's okay.
My wife's texting me. No,
oh, yeah. We don't want to miss those.
No, I'm going to turn it off right now. So anyway, so if you have... no regrets tattooed on you, that means that regardless of what happens, you got to be okay with it, right?
I feel like that'd be such a weird thing to put in your body, though. Yeah. Like what you say, I will walk for you. That's like a sweet saying, in the story behind. Like, what's the story behind no regrets? Like, made a lot of bad deals, screwed over a lot of people, no regrets.
But I got no regrets,
right?
Exactly. So this is what that song's about, though. Okay. I met a man standing in the park, watching the sunset. Had a tattoo on his arm, supposed to say, no regrets. But the letters were all mixed up. It was spelled all wrong. And I said, when you saw that man, must have really pissed you off. He said, you think it might, but I think it came out right. You can't look back and complain about things in your life that you can't change. Lord knows I have made mistakes that, like this ink, won't go away. But I've learned to laugh when it's funny, cry when it hurts. So I'd say this tattoo is right on the money. No regrets. Didn't see that coming, huh? I thought real hard on that.
I was thinking about singing along with you on that one, too.
I began to understand. Every step and every stumble have led to where I am. You can't miss a place you've never been, so you might as well get over it. You can't look back and complain about things in your life you can't change. Lord knows I have made mistakes that, like this ink, won't go away. But I've learned to laugh when it's funny, cry when it hurts. So I'd say this tattoo is right on the money, yeah. No regrets. Should have seen the look on the face of that dude at the tattoo shop. And I stopped by later that night and I told him what I want. You can't look back and complain about things in your life that you can't change. Lord knows I have made mistakes that, like this ink, won't go away. But I've learned to laugh when it's funny, cry when it hurts. So I'd say this tattoo is right on the money. All right, everybody together. No regrets.
Do you have any regrets?
I think it would be normal to have some regrets, but I don't have any major regrets. No, I like to think that I've made solid choices based on good information most of my life.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Do you have any, like, all right, here's a question for you. In all your years of doing what you've done, whether it's radio or it's the TV news,
Right.
you've ever had like oh boy, I screwed up, and like it's just an embarrassing screw up, and you makes you cringe and like stop dead in your tracks every time you just think about it, even today.
Oh, yeah, I'd say, in all honesty, probably yes. Also, in all honesty, I can't for the life of me remember what it was.
Fair enough.
So I think, I think it's probably you bury it a little, and you don't want to dwell on it. I mean, some people I know dwell on their mistakes, and maybe it makes you bitter to do so. I like to think that I just move on if I make my mistakes. And,
like, what you did.
I say, okay, I messed that up, and I move on.
I just think about sometimes when I was on the air. Like, I screw up a lot.
Yeah.
And no one would ever say anything to me. Like, no, I never got a phone call from Tim or nothing. I was surprised, but I never got a phone call from Tim.
Yeah.
But there's times where I think about it today, I'm like, oh, God. And I don't know if that's a regret.
A regret, yeah.
But it's more so just kind of like, I can't believe I did that.
Yeah, I mean, I look back and there were things, I know there were things I said, I probably shouldn't have done that, but I did, and I own it, and I move on, and there you go. I don't want to dwell on it. I had, though, I will say, a remarkably blooper-free career. I had 40 years in television, more than 40 years in television, and I had, you can go to YouTube and try to find me doing bloopers. I mean, look for Bill Bond's bloopers. Oh, man, you'll find a ton.
Oh, I've seen those.
Oh, yeah.
Those.
Yeah. Nobody ever got those on me. So either they weren't rolling or I just didn't do it. I was always extremely cautious around cameras.
Sure.
Live or not. I mean, cameras in a room, and I tended to, watch what I was doing just to make sure. I don't want to get, on a blooper reel like that.
So when you at the end of your career there, you said you didn't like the way it was going, but in the beginning you didn't feel that way. Did you like that more than you did on the radio, or do you like the music just really took over for you at that point?
What are you talking about?
Like, if you're on, did you enjoy being on the radio more than being a news anchor at the best time of being a news anchor?
Well, because I was actually on the radio twice. I was on the radio at the beginning of my career, where I started at a radio station as a disc jockey, back when we had things called records.
Where was this at?
And turntables, Greeley, Colorado.
Okay.
And we had little turntables, so we actually put the records on and and spun them and all kind of stuff like that. And I really loved it because I love that, what they call the theater of the mind. I love the idea you can just talk about something and try to paint a picture based on nothing but what's in your head.
Right.
And television came along, and I loved the television, the fact that you have, the visuals to work with, and you've got, all these people hanging on every word and sight. And so I loved changing the way I did things to write words that didn't get in the way of the pictures, and so I loved that process. And then I went back to radio in the very end of my career and did that again, and it was a whole different kind of radio, as you know. I mean, it's radio is not like it used to be. You couldn't just sit there and start talking about something. It had to be quick. Had to get to the point.
Well, that's the thing. The theater of the mind. And that's what you compromise. Like, to be quick like that, you can't really paint the picture like you would before. No. So, like, when you were in, Greeley, Colorado, which, by the way, is usually where people go when they, start in radio.
It's
or
you either start there or end there.
Right. It's just full circle, that thing.
I was pretty lucky to start small and end big.
I got extremely fortunate. I talked to the right person at the right time. I firmly believe that.
So you started big and ended
big. My only job was in Detroit at YCD.
There you are.
I mean, I went from spec, started on the promo team.
Yeah, there you go.
And talked to the right person.
Well, plus you're still a young guy. It's not like you're not done doing radio, so who knows?
I mean, I would always consider it.
Yeah.
The situation would have to be right.
Yeah.
I got a 5-year-old. It's tough, but
I
miss it.
This, and you get
especially
to
with this, though.
Your own format and things like that. Yeah, this is great.
I'll be real with you. I didn't miss it up until I started doing this show again. Once I
I
started doing the show again, I'm like,
I can get into that.
And I hear it on the radio. I'm like, I want to do the show. I want to do it.
You do what I do. Don't listen to the radio.
You're right. I should just listen to the wind.
Just listen.
Just listen to the wind and end up in Florida. I'll be your neighbor in some.
I listen to the dolphins in my backyard going. That's what I listen to.
So were you a big fisherman before going to Florida? Because every time I see anything you post on Facebook now is you in the Gulf of Mexico.
I know. Oh, I spend a lot of time in the Gulf because my house is on the beach across from the Gulf, so I have a boat in my backyard on a canal. So I just go out. It takes me 5 minutes to get into the Gulf of Mexico.
Did you ever see like sharks? Or you said you saw dolphins.
I saw one baby shark. Baby shark. I saw one baby shark washed up on the beach. So that's the only shark I've seen at all.
But it was washed up and dead.
Yeah, dead. And now I've seen a ton of dolphins, and we have manatee come back into our little canal and just hang out in back of the house. And then almost every morning a dolphin makes a run up along our seawall. And so I'll go out in the morning and just kind of watch this dolphin. So it is so cool to think that you got dolphin and manatee in your backyard.
Right.
So for me, that is cool. But I never really did a lot of fishing, except for when I was a little kid. My dad at that time would take us bass fishing or something like that. So I never did any ocean fishing. So I finally went with Thad Zott, who owns some car dealerships here in Detroit, and he has a summer place or part-time place, whatever you call it, in Cape Coral. And so he invited me out last week onto the Gulf, and I said, yeah, I'll go out there. Man, I tell you, it was awesome. We went out like 50 miles out.
That's awesome.
And
that'd be nice.
And just, it was just a whole different experience. So I loved it.
There's nothing that's like the actual definition of just getting away.
That is getting away.
Like there's a middle of nowhere in the woods, because up here you get dolphins in Manatee where you're at. We get deer, and that's what else do we get?
Get deer.
We could get deer out here in Warren, honestly.
I know you did. You're walking down the middle of the street.
And it's amazing. Like, oh my God, I got a deer in my backyard.
Yeah.
This dude's over
It's
here.
usually
I got
pretty
dolphins
cold.
swimming up against my sea line. And manatee are there, and I saw a baby shark dead on the beach, and it was amazing.
Yeah, it's just a normal day.
No, but that's when I booked you on the show. You were like, I'm sitting here watching the sunrise.
Yeah.
I was like,
I'm just
watching
cool.
a dolphin.
Watching the dolphins cavort.
Oh, look, it's a whale. Just in a leap.
Yeah. Haven't seen the whale yet. I'm waiting.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Actually, I was on the beach recently, and somebody tried to drag me back into the water. That's when I decided that it was time for me to go on a diet.
Well, I wanted to say, though, when you flew in here right from the airport coming, well, not right from, but like you
Pretty close,
landed in Detroit.
Yep.
Had a little bite to eat, and came to do the show. So I really appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate this. You've always been a big supporter, not only
Absolutely.
of what I do personally, but you're a big supporter of local music.
Yeah.
And that is precious hard to find anywhere in America today. To find anybody who gives local musicians a chance to get their stuff out.
It's sad.
It is.
It is sad.
It's sad. I mean, I live in Nashville part-time, have for years. And I go to a lot of writers' nights and stuff like that, and about any writers' night or mornings that, writer show I can find. But there's so precious few, and you're in the town that invents the music. They're the ones who write it all the time. And it's hard to find places to go hear people play. And you go there, and I listen to these other people play songs, and I say, why isn't that on the radio?
Right.
And then they come up to me and says, why isn't your stuff on the radio? And we all look at each other. We don't know.
It's not what you know.
Radio.
It's not what you are. It's who you know. It's like that song. It's who you know, who you presented it to.
Well, people keep telling me no regrets. They said, why isn't Kenny Chesney doing that song? And I said, now that's a damn good question.
Right. All right, and especially when you're hearing it, like that was phenomenal. Like who? Like, and they all write their like. That's what the one thing I thought was really cool about doing the radio thing. By the way, but especially in Nashville with the country scene.
Yeah.
How many artists that you hear doing hit songs are writing songs for other songs or other artists that are like becoming hit songs?
Yeah.
That's crazy to me.
Almost like Taylor Swift, writing for Little Big Town. I mean, it's just like
right.
Really?
Well, I think what was it? Like Cole Swindell wrote a few songs. I forget who it was for. But I was blown away that Cole Swindell had all the writing credits for all these hits from. I think it was me. I don't know if it was Dirks. It might have been Dirks.
Yeah.
Something. But I was like, wow.
But they were all coming up at some time, like a Sam Hunt, who when he first got to town was writing with Trevor Rosen. And I don't know if you've met Trevor yet, but he's in Old Dominion.
The Old Dominion
he's from
guy.
Downriver.
Yep.
And Trevor and Sam Hunt would hang out and write stuff, and they wrote for the band Perry, that Better Dig 2. And they wrote songs for other people, and then suddenly they're writing songs for themselves.
Right, but it takes a couple of years because those are hit songs that they wrote.
They call it the Nashville 10, So
right.
10 years in Nashville.
Right, there you go.
Yeah.
That's what the whole thing about Cole Swindell was, though, because I was just like, wow, he's just now making his name.
But
But
he's
for
been
the
there for
last
10
few
years.
10 years, he's been writing songs and making, oh, man, that's crazy.
See, the funny thing is you spend 10 years getting there, and then the first thing they want you to do is figure out someone to get 10 years off your life.
Right.
So they want to suddenly say, yeah, you gotta act like you're like 25.
And how long have you been there?
Yeah, about 10 years.
No, okay. You're right there, man. Don't give up. Under bigger and better homegrowns from you, man.
I think I may have missed that window. I don't know. I'm not sure I can play 25.
I don't know, man. It seems like you're having fun, though. It don't matter what you do
I'm
at
having
this
a great
point.
time,
You've lived a pretty awesome career.
My career's my
Your
career
career's
goal,
over, but
well, it's my career goal in music has always been to write a song that somebody else in the big time. I've got a lot of people who've recorded songs I've written, but they're regional artists, people who aren't selling nationally, but they're selling artists or albums to people. And that's fine. I'm happy doing that. But I really, if I could get somebody like Kenny Chesney to sing one of my songs, oh man, I'd be happy.
You'd have two houses in Fort Myers Beach.
I would have the bigger house across the street.
Right? No kidding. You'd have the guest house for someone like me to come visit you. Well, hey man, like I said, I really appreciate you coming on. We got time for one more, and this one I'm excited for because it is the drinking song.
This is the drinking song. Plus, it's this is a world premiere. I played it once last week. I did a gig in Bonita Springs, which, by the way, was filled with people from Michigan. Go figure.
That's crazy.
Well, I put it on Facebook that I was playing at this bar in Bonita Springs, and I look around, and all these people there are people that I know from Facebook who live in the Fort Myers, Bonita Beach area, or were visiting, or have friends who live there, and they send them on over and stuff like that. So
that's
great.
Awesome.
It's like almost everybody there was from Michigan. I felt like I was in Michigan.
It's almost like you can't be homesick when it's like that.
Exactly.
And it's funny though because you hear a lot of people from Michigan go to Florida during the winter months like this. They don't normally come back though.
Not this time.
Not this time. They come back in a few months. But hey, like I said, it's awesome. This one's called Whiskey Dent.
Whiskey Dent. This is based on a true story. I was standing in the Gulf about 3 weeks ago, about waist deep in water, and a friend of mine had bought a brand new pontoon boat, and he had it pulled up on the beach, and he was very proud of his new boat. He's saying, "Oh, take a look at this right here. Look at that motor. It's got the 300 on there. Just look at all this shiny." And he's showing all this stuff, and then we get up to the door, and he goes, "Pay no attention to that. That's a whiskey dent." And he just kept moving. And I started thinking, whoa, let's go back to that whiskey dent.
Right. What's that about?
So that's what this song's about, Whiskey Dent. Woke up last night on my pontoon, sitting on a sandbar under a full moon. The details of the night are kind of hazy, but judging from the damage, it's got a little crazy. It's just a little whiskey dent. Not sure exactly where I went when I had that accident, but I left a little thing. It'll probably come back to me in a moment of sobriety. In the cold, cold light of day, I recall the whole thing. But there ain't no call to get yourself all bent. It's just a little whiskey dent. I have a fuzzy memory involving Dickel on the rocks and too much gas when I slammed into the dock. It's just a little whiskey dent. Not sure exactly where I went when I had this accident, but I left a little ding. It'll probably come back to me in a moment of sobriety. In the cold, cold light of day, I recall the whole thing. But there ain't no call to get yourself all bent. It's just a little whiskey dent. And I'm sure it'll come right out with a little buffin', a couple shots of Jack, and you won't see nothing, just a little whiskey dent. Not sure exactly where it went when I had this accident, but I left a little ding. It'll probably come back to me in a moment of sobriety. In the cold, cold light of day, I recall the whole damn thing. But there ain't no call to get yourself all bent. Oh, there ain't no call to get yourself all bent. It's just a little whiskey dent.
Friday, he's at the Howell Opera House, correct?
Howell Opera House, 8 to 10 o'clock, $13 at the door. It is a bargain at twice the price.
All right. Stephen Clark, thank you so much once again.
Thank you so much. Good to see you, too.
You too.
Come visit me in Florida.
Oh, we'll see you soon.
Yeah.
I'll be seeing you soon. I've never been fishing, but I plan to go. Homegrown Happy Hours every week, sponsored by Matt Bush, the realtor. He's a division of RE/MAX Realtor. First-time home buyers. He's kind of the guru. Give him a call, 586-843-6869, or follow him on Instagram and Facebook at MyFirstHouse, and My is M-I. Once again, Stephen, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.
We'll see you soon, and we'll see you soon, too. Happy New Year. Take it easy.